Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Drooks Milan Unboxing. Saturday at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. It's all about the man here to my right. That cover of Ring magazine is sort of sentimental for me. It's the first story that I had published in the Ring magazine, or a little column about what's going on in the South African boxing scene. And that magazine comes from after Manny Pacquiao stopped Ugas, the last fighter that he stopped when he was coming back from his defeat at Jeff Horn. Now, Pacquiao was supposed to fight Errol Spence. Errol Spence was diagnosed with a detached retina, had to go for surgery. So that fell through, and you don't always get what you want. We are very used to that now in the COVID-19 environment. But what we've got was the fight was at least not cancelled, and Yordenis Ugas was pulled from a main supporting bout, and he and Manny Pacquiao will now contest the WBA World Welterweight title. Now, it's not the fight that we wanted, as I've said. We all would have rather had Errol Spence Jr., but let's look at this fight, because what an opportunity this is for Yordenis Ugas. The Cuban has got truly a chance here to make a name for himself, because Pacquiao showed in his last fight against Keith Thurman, he gave a young undefeated fighter his first loss. He showed that he is still an elite level fighter even at his advanced age, but he's been out of it for just over 2 years now. That's the longest spell of inactivity that his career has had. A year's worth of inactivity is not that unusual for him. He is often fought once a year and so on, but this is a long spell of inactivity. He will be in tip-top condition because he had an extensive camp for the Errol Spence Jr. fight. So that part of Manny Pacquiao will be there. Will he be as motivated because he was gearing up for Errol Spence Jr. and now he's got Yordenis Ugas in front of him, a vastly different fighter. Now Ugas, who is he? He got the WBA welterweight championship when Manny Pacquiao was declared champion in recess. His last decision was his last fight was just also over a year ago, and that was when he got a split decision over Abel Ramos. Correction, it was just under a year ago, but he also has some inactivity to deal with. And Ugas has got a record of 26-4, 12 knockouts in those wins. And his record is kind of deceptive. He's the kind of guy from the Cuban amateur system. He struggled to find his feet as a pro, had some inactivity, managerial problems, and that's where those 3 losses come from. They were close decision losses early in his career, so one can discount those. His last loss was against Sean Porter when he challenged for the WBC welterweight title. Was a really good fight. Go and check it out, it's there on YouTube. And he gave Porter all kinds of hell. Eventually he lost a split decision. Many people there felt he did enough to win. Now Yordenis Ugas, he's not a Cuban fighter in the mold of Guillermo Rigondao. Thank heavens above for that. So I don't think we're going to see a stinker like we did with Rigondao and Casimiro. He throws punches at a steady clip. He's got a very good work rate, not frenetic, but he maintains a high work rate throughout. He's a very good technician. His offensive technique is spot on. He's not sloppy, a little bit like Sergey Derevyanchenko. That nickname reminds me now of him. But Ugas is a good technician in the Cuban mold, but he will stand and he will slug with you. He doesn't mind exchanging punches. He has got a very good left jab, doubles up on it well. Good punches to the body, and then almost every punch in the book. But drawback with Yordenis Ugas is he keeps his hands up. There's some blocking and parrying, but hasn't got head movement. He plants his feet and he's right in front of you. He prefers to time you as you come in to counter you, but if that doesn't happen, he'll sort of plod after you, but he's not a guy that's light on his feet. Now, for Ugas to win this fight, it's pretty simple. He's got to use what he's got. He's got to use that left jab. If he's effective with his left jab against Manny Pacquiao, which is a tall order, then he's going to be in the fight, and then hit the older man in the body. Try and stop Pacquiao's forward march, because Pacquiao is very dangerous when he comes forward, by banging him to the body. Now, for Pacquiao, Ugas is going to try and time him, hit him with a counter shot, sort of like one Manuel Marquez did. I don't think Ugas is a Marquez type fighter, but that is what I think Ugas is going to be trying to do. That's going to be the danger here, that Pacquiao with his inactivity, his timing is likely to be a bit off, but Ugas catches him with something coming in. So what I've noticed in the Porter fight, you know, Porter did better when he used a lot of feints and moved and boxed a little bit more with Ugas, rather than just barging straight ahead as we used to Sean Porter doing. So Manny Pacquiao, when he attacks, he's going to need to do it from his usual awkward angles, and he's going to need to use a lot of feints, turn around, use angles, and feint a lot before he attacks Ugas to try and offset that timing of Ugas. Because if you're going to time somebody like Ugas is sure to try and do, you're going to need to know, you're going to have to, in a way, predict what your opponent is going to do, where he's going to be. And if Pacquiao uses these awkward angles and lots of feints, he's going to have trouble doing it. So the fight is quite simple for me. Ugas has to hope that Pacquiao is not the fighter he used to be. Yordenis Ugas is a solid world-class fighter, somebody with a world title belt in every independent top 10 in the world, around about the first 5 in welterweight division. So he's a world-class championship level fighter. He's the elite level fighter. I don't quite think so. I think he's close, but he's not quite elite. And Manny Pacquiao, he's still an elite level fighter after 2 years of inactivity. And how will preparing for Errol Spence and now being I don't want to say stuck, because kudos for Ugas for stepping up, but now fighting Yordenis Ugas instead of Errol Spence, how will that affect the Pac-Man mentally? Will that demotivate him, or will he still be as motivated? Ugas has got the opportunity of a lifetime. He'll be on his P's and Q's. Pac-Man, he has to make this adjustment, but he's a veteran. I don't think Ugas can show him anything that he hasn't seen before. Ugas isn't stylistically very difficult. He's not a hit and runner. He's not a Rigondeaux. He's going to stand there and he's going to fight. And I think unless Manny Pacquiao has slipped a considerable bit, which could be a possibility. So if you're a betting man, you want to take a bet on Ugas, it might not be such a bad idea, because at any time it can be the last fight for Manny Pacquiao. You know, I'm not so sure if he's quite a Bernard Hopkins. His style's a little bit different as far as aging fighters go, but in his last fight he still has a fast stance, he still has a fast feet, he still has an awkwardness. If he still brings into the Yordenis Ugas fight what he brought into the Keith Thurman fight, I think Manny Pacquiao is going to be too much for Yordenis Ugas. I think Ugas will be staggered a couple of times. He did seem to be sort of buzzed a couple of times against Abel Ramos. So I think Pacquiao might score a knockdown. I don't think he's got quite the zip at his age to get Ugas out of it. But I'm going to go for Manny Pacquiao to win a competitive decision. Ugas will have a bit of success in between. But if Pacquiao is the same as he was in the Thurman fight, or close to the same, I see him outpointing Yordenis Ugas. But I think it will make for a good fight. It's maybe not going to be Spence against Pacquiao, a good type of fight, but I think it will be a good fight nonetheless. So that's it. I'm riding with the Pac-Man this Saturday. And until we see each other again, if you've watched this far, please give the channel a like and a subscribe. And until we see each other again, remember to keep those hands up.